Chapter 561. The end of the F1 World Championship and the contestant interview. What are you mumbling about? Jessica glared at the ordinary guy who was still crunching potato chips calmly. She was furious and thought, how come this native can remain calm at this moment? Do you really have no idea who is standing in front of you? The truth was that Mr. Fang didn't know. He had thought that they were people of the ultimate West realm. Jessica was so angry that she had the urge to reveal her true identity to shock this damn native. Clearly, she suppressed this urge and didn't do that. What were you mumbling about? These outlanders stared at Mr. Fang suspiciously, and they even suspected that Mr. Fang might have played some tricks to win all the bets. How come we lost all the bets? It seems like a strange power is working against us. Did this kid manipulate the results? It doesn't seem likely since he is only an ordinary person. This, Mr. Fang explained. I say, you guys really don't know what esports poisonous milk is? I suppose you don't know who Xuanhuan Immortal is? What is esports poisonous milk? Who is Xuanhuan Immortal? They looked at Mr. Fang in bewilderment. Mr. Fang said, maybe I'll tell you the story about him. Then, he told them a story from the ancient Oriental world. When they heard the part of the story where Xuanhuan Immortal said, how can he lose with so many mutalisks on his opponent's face? The Outlanders looked at Fang Chi incredulously with widened eyes. You mean the powerful Tudming Emperor led a huge army of flying dragon-like creatures to his enemy's base, but they got crushed because of a few words from this Xuanhuan Immortal? TL note, on June 3, 2014, Tudming played against Alicia in Group F of WCS America 032. In the third game, which was match point, Alicia made an early mistake and fell into a big disadvantage. During that time, Xuanhuan was casting, and he said that there was no way that Tudming was going to lose this. And then Tudming lost with the big advantage. This later turned into a meme in China. Of course, Mr. Fang imitated Xuanhuan's words and said, damn it. I'm a professional caster, alright. How could a professional caster not understand this situation? Ha 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 ha. Jessica laughed so hard that she almost fell to the ground and hammered the floor with her fists. The others tried hard to suppress their laughter and said, this Xuanhuan Immortal can be so hilarious at times. While listening to the secret story of the Immortal, they watched the StarCraft competition. Are they above the void? So powerful. These people can mass produce such powerful battle cruisers and carriers? This is called airdroptionic lightning matrix. They stared at the screen as a wave of horrifying lightning nets swept across the battlefield like a storm. The armies in neat formations from different races and different planets in the universe battled each other at full force under the fast and precise commands of contestants. Such epic-scale battles stunned the audience every time. After his failure in the prediction of the Dungeon Fighter Online competition, Mr. Mew was cautious with the StarCraft competition and made modest comments. He didn't repeat his mistake, since the two people who had defeated Nalan Hongwu and Ningbai respectively were in the same group. Only one of them advanced to the next round. The first place of the first group was Grandmaster Zhu Xiao, and the first place of the fourth group was Jiang Xiaoyu. Surprisingly, the fourth contestant who made it out of groups was, in the half-city shop. A mass of black mist put down its virtual reality headset and laughed. Ha ha ha, I'm unrivaled. This time, I'll win first place. On the screen, there was a berserker who held a slim long saber. My Hellbringer is unrivaled in the world. Unbelievable. The smirk face emoji wants to be the champion. Ningbai, who had lost to an unknown female priest, looked at this mass of black mist in contempt. Get out of here, little demonic woman Xbai. You lost to an unknown player. Just watch how Granddaddy wins the first place. In the StarCraft competition, the players who made it out of groups included Old Academy Master Gatinian of the Heavenly Academy, the Xiqi Spiritual Master of the Nanhua faction, Tang Family Master Tang Huan of the Spiritual State, and the fourth was Li Haran, the only player from the younger generation. He had advanced to the next round with a narrow margin. After all, some senior masters didn't have a lot of time to spend playing the game. In StarCraft, The players acted as ordinary commanders whose strategies and tactics came almost entirely from the experience, intelligence, and adaptability of the players themselves. In this area, the more senior masters had obvious advantages. In the backstage of the arena, two figures covered by black cloaks were whispering to each other. "Thank you for giving the opportunity to me. You must win first place." "I will." The figure hidden in the black robe clenched her fists. "Rose and Rain. The match is about to begin." "Ah, coming." She raced out. In this competition, the female priest Rose and Rain was a big black horse. In the first match of the elimination round, she and the smirk face emoji engaged in an astonishing battle. Both parties dazzled the audience with their great control of combat rhythm and details. Finally, Rose and Rain won the match with a narrow margin, and she would enter the final match with the Black Light Grandmaster who had narrowly won against Jiang Xiaoyu. Soon, the match for the third place began. We can see that Demon God Almighty is in a poor form, but he still has some advantage over Xiaoyu. Or is this Xiaoyu? She's so sly and cunning, so dirty. She's using magic missile and aiming for her opponent's weaknesses. In this match, Xiaoyu is very specific with her moves. This specific combat style of aiming for weakness looks like New Snow's tactics. She has studied her opponent very well. In the last match, Demon God Almighty exposed all of his trump cards. Besides, he's in a poor form. He's finished. He has understood her tactics and swiftly changed his methods, but it's too late. Xiaoyu wins. In the half-city shop, a mass of black mist slammed its fists on the desk quickly and repeatedly. Now, it was time for the final match. We can see that they have totally different combat methods. Obviously, Blacklight Grandmaster's sword techniques are very fitting for his class. Yeah, this contestant has achieved a big improvement. Mu Donglai said, "I can tell that this contestant has grown a lot during the competition." However, Rose and Rain has perfect control of the details. Even though Blacklight Grandmaster doesn't want to compete with Rose and Rain in terms of details and has tried to fight with tactics, he is being forced to back off by his opponent. Even though the battle with Demon God Almighty consumed a lot of Rose and Rain's energy, we can see that she has no problem suppressing Blacklight Grandmaster in a steady fashion. Blacklight Grandmaster continues to consume his opponent with his unique and sly style, but Xiao Yulf exclaimed, "It's useless." Obviously, Rose and Rain has seen through his strategy and remained steady in each attack. She is consuming his energy as well. Her mindset is really good and stable. Blacklight Grandmaster must do something at this point. Ultimate Slay, Tempest. My goodness. Blacklight Grandmaster found a gap in his opponent's movements and used Tempest. Scud the Wrathful Demon. Scythe Massacre. We can see that Rose and Rain has transformed into a demon and used the great demonic power to block Tempest. Xiao Yulf yelled, "My goodness." She blocked it. But her HP is low. Can Blacklight Grandmaster use one more strike? Guillotine. It's finished. He's hooked by Rose and Rain's guillotine. He lost. Let's congratulate Rose and Rain, the biggest black horse of this competition. Congratulations. Loud, wave-like cheers erupted on the platform and the audience stands. The whole place turned into an ocean of cheers. The pair of eyes hidden under the cloak gazed at the magnificent sight on and off the stage as she thought, "It's been so long since I saw such a gala." She was a little touched. Congratulations to our second place contestant, Blacklight Grandmaster Zuyang Xiao, and our third place contestant, Jiang Xiaoyu. Now, please come up to the platform, and our two hosts will present the awards to the Super Kings. Then, let's ask our champion a question. Mu Donglai walked up before the ceremony began. On behalf of the shop owner, we risk being rude and want to ask Rose and Rain a question. What's on your mind right now? I'm elated. I didn't expect to encounter so many powerful opponents. I almost lost in some matches. Is it your first time entering such a competition, Rose and Rain? I attended similar competitions held in the faction. This woman had a smug smile on her face. I won the first place back then, but the competition wasn't as big as this one. Do you miss the time? Maybe. It was so long ago. Okay. Now, let's turn the microphone to contestant Zuyang Xiao. Mudonglai asked, Blacklight Grandmaster, did you ever imagine that you would come this far? This young warrior looked a bit dull, totally different from the nimble player in the game. Before I came, I thought of only slashing down as many opponents as I could. Then, I slashed my way up to this place. Chapter 562, Threatening Mr. Fang. During the competition, we noticed a very interesting detail, and it's something Gong Tsai Xiao and I wished to ask while we were casting. Mudonglai said, Level 58. Our contestant Zuyang Xiao hasn't reached the top level. In the system version, the top level was level 60. The higher levels weren't open to the players yet. I'm afraid that he's the only one who hasn't reached the top level among the contestants who entered the group stage. FCK? I didn't notice it. Exclamations came from the audience. Mudonglai asked, Can you tell me why this is the case? Zuyang Xiao said with a somewhat dull expression, I didn't have money to buy equipment back then. Besides, I had to move bricks and practice combat skills in the dojo every day. Therefore, I didn't have time to reach the top level. Although the competition doesn't allow the contestants to wear godly equipment above level 51, and thus not reaching the top level has little impact on your competition. But still, what's the top level? Carl, who sat beside Mr. Fang, asked in a low voice. Is it equivalent to the pinnacle stage in a certain level? Jessica exclaimed, Does it mean that Zuyang Xiao defeated opponents of higher levels? He's a respectable master. Kevin said. Then, what does moving bricks mean? Jessica asked in bafflement. Info note, moving bricks is a Chinese internet slang for doing work. It comes from the fact that most workers in construction moved bricks. It means cultivation. Mr. Fang's face twitched. Oh, then. Let's congratulate these three contestants again. Mudonglai turned around and said, Please present the prizes to the top 3 players. Hey, why didn't you interview me? Jiangxi Oyu stomped her foot in anger. After Gatinian won the champion in the StarCraft competition, the #1 worldwide Martial Dao conference finally came to an end. The Outlanders seemed reluctant to leave and were longing for more. The magnificent Star Wars, the exciting pinnacle battles. These people hadn't imagined that they would come here and witness such thrilling and exciting scenes and moments. They still remembered the unbelievable counterstrike of the King of Rangers, the astonishing slash of the Blacklight Grandmaster, the Black Horse Rose and Rain, and the stunning interstellar wars. These people had thought that these people were ignorant natives, but now, Jessica said, I somehow feel like something isn't right. Kevin replied, I have the same feeling. Carl questioned, Are they really so strong? Their voices were restricted in a very small area and wouldn't be overheard by others. Jessica looked dubious. These battles were excellent, but we can't be fooled by them, right? Indeed, despite the fascination, her sharp intuition told her that many things were strange, and many places were doubtful. At this moment, they saw the ordinary person who was wearing sunglasses sipping iced red tea with enjoyment. A dangerous presence seemed to permeate the air. These Outlanders were not morons. Although they had been stunned by the opening cinematics and the battles in the competitions, they felt like something wasn't right as they watched more as time passed. We are brave warriors of the Godly Palace. A cold sneer appeared on Jessica's face. We won't be fooled like this. Carl snickered. Beep. At this moment, Mr. Fang heard a system prompt. New task. The Path of Esports. Completed. Task description. Hold an official esports competition. StarCraft and Dungeon Fighter Online will launch the ladder tournament and division mode, and the top 64 are eligible to enter this competition. Task reward. Gain Cultivation Room, 3-day, Godly Weapon Fragment, 1 piece, Fortune Competition Gift Box, can randomly draw multiple competition game items. Do you want to claim the rewards? Yes. Mr. Fang intently stared at the interface, wanting to see what he would get. Do you want to open fortune competition gift box? Mr. Fang was really excited. Yes. You obtained evil sword Apophis. You got the right to summon Color of Dark Flame. Plus 4% synchronization with game character Soul Reaper. First Awakening of Soulbender. You got the right to summon Ice Sire. Plus 3% synchronization with game character Soul Reaper. You got the right to summon Afterimage of Keiga. Plus 3% synchronization with game character Soul Reaper. You got. Before Fang Chi could see the rest, he shivered subconsciously. Nearby, Jessica's face turned even colder. These natives. We must have been fooled by these natives. Crack. Carl's face turned cold as well, and the wine cup in his hand was shattered by his fingers. Damn it. Jessica was about to say something when she heard a voice sounding by her. Have you forgotten to give me the treasures for losing the bet? ? The three people instantly turned their cold eyes toward him. This guy even dared to ask for the treasures from the bets. Doesn't he know how to write the word death? What? You guys want to slip away without honoring your bets? You. They were so furious that they were at a loss for words. Their faces almost became distorted under anger. Since you want them so much, come with me. With a snort, Jessica left the competition venue. HMPH. Carl left as well. What's going on? I've got to go with you to get what I won. Mr. Fang scratched his head and followed. Soon, the three people led Mr. Fang out of Xuanhuan City. They came into a remote pine forest on a cliff outside Xuanhuan City. Clearly, they were some distance away from the city, and they could do anything they wanted without attracting undue attention. Shall we? Carl made a gesture by crossing his finger on his neck. It's not necessary. Jessica smiled seductively. I laughed so hard today that I could barely stand. This hadn't happened in a long time. I'm in a good mood today, so this little native is lucky that I will let him live. We can bring him back and train him. Ha 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 ha. Kevin said, right. I think we can first let this damn low-level native know our true identity. After all, they had felt so humiliated pretending to be people of the ultimate West realm. They had been despised by many people, and this ordinary king warrior even dared to ignore them. At this moment, Fang Chi felt baffled and was about to ask them. Then, as if they had finished discussing, the three people turned around, and a wicked smile appeared on Jessica's face. Then, two golden spiritual patterns appeared on her forehead, looking mystical and mysterious. Jessica's aura suddenly changed as well. If she was like a beauty of the ultimate West realm before, she was now a blonde snake beauty. Her slim fingers caressed Fang Chi's face as she asked, do you know who we are? Ha ha ha. These three people's presences suddenly rose. It felt like a huge mountain was standing before Fang Chi. With dazzling golden patterns shining on their foreheads, the three stood before Fang Chi like three holy existences. Mr. Fang's face froze. This. How come you guys are so f***ing powerful? Are you still the three natives of the ultimate West realm who screamed at the matches beside me? Seeing Fang Chi's stunned expression, Jessica was very satisfied. Although I intend to let you live, we can't forgive you for making us feel so frustrated. We aren't planning to forgive you for your sins. You dared to fool us. Do you still dare to ask for the rewards of the bets? Jessica laughed hysterically with a small silver dagger in her hand. Should I call you ignorant or audacious? Do you know what's this in my hand? It's Kala, the blade of curses. Each slash. Before she could finish, Mr. Fang suddenly took out a huge dark purple evil-looking sword, evil sword Apophis. The three people looked at the sword that Fang Chi took out from thin air in astonishment! Chapter 563, I'm the best. No, I'm even better. Evil sword Apophis was a huge dark purple sword engulfed in blazing evil flames that looked like tentacles. The blade and handle added together was taller than one person, and it had a vertical evil eye in the sword body. This huge, sharp blade could shock people into submission with only its appearance. This sword was extremely dangerous, since it possessed a human's awareness and could control humans' and monsters' minds. In fact, it could even swallow the user's soul. The moment this sword came out, The Outlanders felt a gloomy gust sweeping toward their faces. This kid has hidden strength. The aura emitting from the sword grew stronger as if a seal was being slowly removed from a demon. Ha 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 ha. The Outlanders laughed hysterically while their auras grew higher. Does he think that he's the only one who has hidden strength? I'm afraid that this native still doesn't understand this situation, right? Carl snickered. Although they had all pretended to be pigs that could eat tigers, the three Outlanders sneered in their minds and thought, this person doesn't know that we are actually prehistoric beasts who are acting weak. In contrast, this young man in front of us is at most a wolf who is pretending to be a pig. This is hilarious. The silver blade of curses in Jessica's hand shined with a decaying, grey color, as if everything it touched would wither due to its power. The moment the dagger-like short saber was unsheathed, a tremendous amount of decaying energy appeared. As the death energy spread in the area, all the plants withered. Moving so fast as if she was teleportating, Jessica appeared behind Fang Chi silently in the blink of an eye. While placing the blade on Fang Chi's neck, she said, "Little brother, don't move. Otherwise, you'll end up like the plants in the area if my hand shakes a little." Jessica didn't open her mouth, but her voice somehow appeared in Fang Chi's mind. She didn't speak using the language of the spiritual state, but strangely, Fang Chi could clearly understand her. Such a dangerous weapon. Let me keep an eye on it for you. Hee ha hee. With a series of wicked and arrogant giggles, a sickly pale and slim finger reached out and touched the evil sword's handle. At this moment, Jessica sensed that a tremendous amount of horrifying negative emotions swept toward her like surging waves. What's this? Jessica quickly pulled back her hand as if she got electrocuted. Meanwhile, the Outlanders widened their eyes and looked before them since the ordinary-looking young man had disappeared. In his place was a gloomy, black-clothed young man with the evil sword in hand, surrounded by chilly and gloomy demons. He was a soul reaper. Fang Chi waved his left hand, and endless black shadows rotated around him like hurricanes. After image of Keiga, rebuild you soul and fight for me. Then, a skeleton hidden in the intense black mist spread out from behind Fang Chi like a huge black bone wing, color of dark flame. The thick black mist that seemed to come from hell engulfed Fang Chi while pitch black hell flames slowly appeared on the huge dark purple evil sword. Fang Chi waved his hand, and a dark red demon shadow floated in the air. This streak of dark red energy continued to increase the demonic power in Fang Chi's body. Kazan. On the Arad continent, some existences had more intelligence than humans and became gods. These creatures were called demons. According to legends, Kala had been a messenger of the death god, the most mysterious existence on Arad. Kala could summon the black hellfire on his body, and this fire could burn everything in the universe into nothingness. Later, it was summoned out by the great Zig in the name of the death god. As for Kazan, not much explanation was needed. The blood-colored demonic hand on all males slayers came from it. When the vague shadows of the demons were summoned out one after another, the horrifying presences overlapped, turning the whole mountain into a hellscape with gloomy winds and ghostly shadows appearing everywhere. The Outlanders were stunned as they looked at the horrifying scenes and demons, and they thought of something even more frightening. If one could control two demons, this person could open the seal and summon the legendary Ghost 7, Furious Black. That was the truly terrifying existence. If these Outlanders hadn't watched the esports competition, they wouldn't have known the horrifying power of the masters who had awakened. But now, they had watched the competition for 2 whole days. At this moment, the young man who had summoned the demons said, "You guys have hidden your strengths as well? I thought I was the only one doing it!" Exclamation mark. The Outlanders felt like their minds had turned blank. Before, you were only an ordinary king warrior, and we were warriors of the distant Ultimate West realm. We were both like sheep and got along well. However, while we were halfway through showing our identity as wolves to shock this ordinary person, you are telling us that you have hidden your strength as well? What's more, you pulled off your sheepskin and showed that you are a prehistoric monster? Are you a soul reaper? Carl yelled, he finally recognized this person. The ordinary person in front of them was a Soul Reaper who could summon horrifying demons. Impossible. Jessica thought that she was going crazy. To judge if a soul bender had awakened, the easiest way was to see if he were surrounded by a horrifying force, which was the passive skill, fear of darkness. Since these people felt the terrifying presence that existed around them, they knew that this man was indeed an awakened Soul Reaper instead of an ordinary soul bender. Ah! They screamed silently. Impossible. How can you be a Soul Reaper? These people felt like their worldview got flipped upside down. They had thought hard after finding things to be fishy and came to the conclusion that the masters in the esports competition were only powerful in a virtual world which looked extremely similar to the real world. That was why they were powerful. They thought that it was a small world in a relic from the ancient times. After all, the natives of this world couldn't have created such a thing. But now, the thing that they were certain was fake now stood in front of them. Also, this Soul Reaper was extremely powerful. These people even had this thought, are those other things that we deemed fake going to suddenly appear in front of us like this? We actually said that we want to show our identity in front of him and stun him, making him feel stupid. Damn. But now, we are the ones scared witless. Chapter 564. The new janitors of the shop. Should they fight or just flee? These three Outlanders had never encountered such a situation before. They regretted their decision of trying to kidnap this young man. At this moment, Mr. Fang said, "Did you say something about identity? Tell me your identity so that I can see if it's really that shocking." While he spoke, Mr. Fang summoned Ice Sire and Hazy-Eyed Brayman, turning the whole space into a realm of ice. The ice sealed the ground and even froze the air. While the power of demons was summoned, two factors decided the strength of this power. One was the summoner's skill level, and the other was the empowerment coming from the equipment. For example, Evil Sword Apophis had great demonic power and could increase the strength of all the spiritual spells and sword techniques of a slayer by multiple folds. Besides, Alvin the Ancient Ring on Fang Chi's finger was a powerful magic item as well. Right now, Fang Chi's skills had reached the highest level that could be acquired through learning and training. Almost instantly, the Outlanders felt as if the whole world had been plunged into a hell of ice. Like ducks whose necks were clenched, they opened their mouths to scream but couldn't let out a sound. The scariest thing was that they felt as if something extremely horrifying was moving behind the space. Will he really summon Ghost 7? Furious Black? Run. Run now. Mr. Fang was at a loss for words. If they fought with their full force and gave everything that they got, Fang Chi probably couldn't defeat them without summoning Ghost 7, Furious Black. Since these three people were so afraid of Ghost 7, Furious Black, that they thought was hidden in the darkness, they were distracted and exposed many weaknesses. In the ghost array, hellfire shot up. 10 seconds later, the three people lay on the ground, completely scorched. Satisfied, Mr. Fang put away the evil sword and gazed at them. I'm in a good mood today, so you three from the Ultimate West Realm are lucky that I will let you live. From the looks of it, you guys are probably princes and princesses or sons and daughters of noble families. For the sake of Luo Piling and his people of the Ultimate West Realm, I won't kill you. However, Fang Chi said after a moment of consideration, I'll need to bring you back to train you properly for being bold enough to try to beat me. Jessica's face turned green and thought, aren't those my lines? Also, what do you mean by people of the Ultimate West Realm? Oh, right. We're people of the Ultimate West Realm. With tears on their faces, they said nothing about Heaven Hiding Palace. Mr. Fang looked puzzled. I already know that you are from the Ultimate West Realm. Why are you emphasizing it again? Since he was too lazy to dwell on this thought, Mr. Fang brought these captives back to his shop. At this moment, most of the players had just come into the shop after watching the competition. The contestants had also come down from the designated competition venue on the second floor. At this moment, they saw Mr. Fang coming back with 3 flying swords following him. On each sword was a person who got completely tied up. Question mark. Curious, The customers all walked up and watched, either with bowls of instant noodles or bottles of Coke in their hands. The outlanders who were tied onto the swords were embarrassed, and their faces turned dark purple. Ah! How could he treat us like this? They shivered in rage. Beep. Detected potentially dangerous bewitching spiritual seals in the new employees. Do you choose to erase the seals? Upon entering the shop, Mr. Fang heard a prompt from the system. What are these things? Mr. Fang studied the captives with squinted eyes. In fact, he had noticed the unusualness and strangeness about these so-called people of the ultimate West realm, but he didn't point it out. But they actually have so-called spiritual seals inside their bodies? That doesn't sound like good things. Erase, Fang Chi said. Ah! With a series of screams, the three people dropped to the floor and went unconscious as if a lightning bolt had struck the depths of their minds. It's okay. Nothing to see here, Mr. Fang said in a loud voice. These hooligans dared to try to beat me, the shop owner. To compensate for the emotional damages they caused me, they will be working here and will probably be in charge of cleaning. So, they are the new employees that the shop owner recruited. Janitors? On the morning of the next day, Jessica woke up and found herself sleeping on a strange bed. Her burned clothes were replaced by a white pajama robe. Of course, Lee Xina helped her with the changing. She felt dizzy as if someone had hit her on the back of her head. While rubbing her groggy eyes, she walked to the mirror. She felt like something was missing. The two golden patterns on her forehead had disappeared. Ah, my spiritual patterns. Her face paled. Where are my patterns lines that I got with hard cultivation? Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, a series of urgent knocking sounded from the door. It's late. Are you still sleeping? Get up and clean the shop. Jessica, here. Clean this spot. What's wrong with you? Don't you know how to clean? Carl, you sweep this spot. The shop must not have a single dust particle. The three glared at Mr. Fang with murderous spirit in their eyes. At this moment, Mr. Fang took out a dark purple evil sword from somewhere. I'll sweep that spot. I'll clean the windows. Hey, wait for me. The three ran away to do the cleaning immediately. On this day, they began their new lives in the small shop in this place that they called the land of the natives. The janitor girl with long golden curls, wearing the employee uniform, and sweeping the floor with a broom was Jessica. The elegant, handsome, blonde young man cleaning the shop with a broom as well was janitor Kevin. I must escape. I'll escape tonight. The sullen young man who had mixed racial features and was cleaning was Carl. Of course, he didn't know that the shop closed during the night. He could never break open the door even if he tried for his entire life. And the next. The sky above the heavenly abyss sea was as clear as sapphire stone after the cleansing of heavy rain. On the bright blue ocean, the wind pushed up the waves while dark lightning bolts occasionally flashed over them. That huge palace was still floating on the ocean surface all by itself. The huge crack had disappeared. This huge palace, that looked like an aircraft or a flying fortress, had completely come out of the crack. Warm Knight Legion is ready. Golden Mage Legion is ready. Mr. White Robe Missionary, a subordinate, kneeled on one knee. In the palace, a middle-aged subordinate who was wearing a pure white robe and a square hat looked into the distance with bafflement. Strange. The lords went to watch the esports competition. I wonder why they haven't sent back a single message after being gone for so long. Chapter 565, Amazing Prizes. On the other hand, on the stage after the finals after Mr. Fang left the venue, the event had come to the prize distribution time. The first three places of the Dungeon Fighter Online competition were Rose and Rain, Zuyang Xiao, and Jiang Xiaoyu. The first three places of the StarCraft competition were Gatinian, Li Haran, and the Xiqi Spiritual Master. With a microphone in her hand, demonic woman Ningbai said, "Guys, the thrilling moment is not over yet. Do you want to see what's inside the treasure chests that these top players have gotten? Yes. Quick, open them now." At this moment, the woman who was wearing a black cloak carried an exquisite chest and a delicate parchment scroll engulfed in a series of mystical magic energy fluctuations. She also had an exquisite golden trophy engraved with the words, Xuanhuan, the champion of the first F1 World Championship. She was quite excited, wondering what treasures were inside the treasure chest. Now, let's witness the opening of the treasure chests. How about that? Xuanhuan said eagerly, I'll open it. I'll open it. While glancing at her palm-sized small treasure chest and then at the big one in Xuanhuan's hands, she mumbled in displeasure, my chest is so small. When she opened the small treasure chest, a bag bigger than her head jumped out. Contestant Xuanhuan opened her treasure chest and got a bag of potato chips. Ningbai declared, yeah. Xuanhuan almost jumped up in rage. How come there is only a bag of potato chips? Let's congratulate contestant Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan felt like crying. She quickly dug her hand into the small chest, trying to see if there were anything else in it. Ah, there's one more thing. Suddenly, Xuanhuan exclaimed when she saw something glittering in the chest. It was a glittering card. Inheritance item trading token. You can use this token to trade for a real-life mimic of an inheritance level game item in Dungeon Fighter Online. This token is attached to the owner and can't be transferred to another person. This token expires in 30 days. Congratulations to contestant Xuanhuan for getting an inheritance item trading token. Can it trade for a real item, a mimic? Can it trade for an inheritance weapon? The venue erupted in excitement. Xuanhuan examined the card happily and almost hugged it. She was so happy. Let's see what great treasures are in Xuanhuan's treasure chest. Ningbai handed the microphone to the dull-looking young warrior and asked, Xuanhuan, do you have anything that you want to get? Well, the young warrior said, everyone calls me Blacklight Grandmaster. But the truth is that I'm not a Grandmaster and don't have the Blacklight. I borrowed the Blacklight for the competition and will have to return it after using. Kind chuckles sounded from the audience. If possible, I hope to get a Blacklight at the end of the day, even if it is only in the game, Xuanhuan said. Okay, let's see what's in contestant Xuanhuan's chest. The chest opened and revealed a small dark golden ring and a card. On it was a line of tiny words. A man's fury can defeat a great army. This ring's power is greater than you think. Congratulations to Xuanhuan for getting a bone ring and an inheritance item trading token. FCK, my goodness, a real bone ring? Awesome. A blade master equipped with a bone ring is unrivaled. The audience members who were watching this looked at him with envy in their eyes. While carrying the chest, the contestant looked very emotional. While holding an advancement contract, he looked at the cheering audience and said, a big thank you to the shop owner and everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. From this moment on, this previously unknown civilian warrior would embark on a path that he had never dared to imagine. Then, our champion Xuanhuan is next. Ningbai said, we have seen that she is the most powerful contestant and well deserves the honorable title of the champion. Let's see what prizes she will get. The chest opened and revealed a strangely shaped but exquisite necklace. This is Soul Chaser. It's Soul Chaser. Ningbai exclaimed. The most powerful epic level necklace. Soul Chaser can bring tremendous strength to the owner. And an inheritance item trading token that expires in 30 days. You can trade it for any item you want. Superb. Wonderful. In the black cloak, the woman was exhilarated with this treasure chest in her arms. With this necklace, my strength will increase by 20% without me doing anything. With her current strength, a tiny increase was terrifying to ordinary people, let alone 20%. The audience was stupefied. Such a powerful spiritual artifact. This necklace only exists in the legends, even in the game, right? I've never heard of it before, even in the game. The whole venue erupted into exclamations. The lively atmosphere and the enthusiasm of the audience members deeply affected the cultivators who had just come to know the shop and this competition. Sitting in the audience stand in a green robe and a bamboo hat, Cultivator Han clicked his tongue in exclamation. I've traveled around the continent for many years but have never seen such a great event. Master, why are your eyes red? Xuanhuan looked at her master, Fairy King Yun, and was confused. I'm thinking how fortunate our spiritual state is that we have a hermit master like Mr. Fang who stands out when the cultivation world is facing a catastrophe. Maybe the cultivation world of the spiritual state will survive this catastrophe. Everything is still in the air. Of course, she didn't know that a few Outlanders would soon become janitors in Mr. Fang's shop. Now, let's cheer for the top 3 contestants in the StarCraft World Series. I'll first interview the Xixi spiritual master of the Nanhua faction about her thoughts at this moment. Ningbai went over to the Xixi spiritual master. Chapter 566. Mr. Fang got the legend of the white snake. The Xixi spiritual master looked sulky since she didn't like this demonic woman. Since it wasn't polite to not answer the question, she reluctantly said with a small silver revolver in her hand, I didn't expect that I would become one of the top 3. I came here mainly to watch Yana compete. I'm quite surprised. You are surprised that you got the great result of 3rd place, right? Ningbai asked. Do you have anything that you want in particular? Of course, I want a carrier, Xixi spiritual master said, but I don't have high hopes for it. Let's see what's in the chest. Xixi spiritual master opened her chest. The audience suddenly gasped. A golden aircraft appeared in the stage. Its golden color and streamlined shape showed its uniqueness. It's a shuttle, a flying spiritual artifact for aerospace transport of the Protoss faction. My goodness, I can't believe that I'm looking at a real Protoss spiritual artifact. Many people in the audience stood up and intently stared at this flying artifact, wishing that they could go up the stage and study it from close range. The Xixi spiritual master gazed at the object that came out of her chest dumbfoundedly. Although it wasn't a carrier. Ah, master, you're awesome. What a fortune for our faction. Moxian and other girls almost rushed up onto the stage. They hugged each other and cried in elation. After quickly putting the aircraft into her spatial spiritual artifact, the Xixi spiritual master was so excited that her hands shivered. Now, let's see what's in the chest of the 2nd place. Impatient, Li Haran opened the chest and saw a strangely shaped gun appearing before him. See, it was one of the weapons used by Ghost Agent Nova in StarCraft. It was a deadly sniper rifle and could fire many special ammunitions. It could even fire lockdown grenades which would temporarily paralyze the machines within its fire range, including the spacecraft of the Protoss. Likewise, lockdown grenades could also paralyze the spiritual artifact and flying machines made by cultivators. I'm rich now. Now, only one person was left on the stage, and he was Gutinian, the champion of the StarCraft competition. Obviously, this old man was excited. In his shaking hands was a big exquisite treasure chest. I've never seen such treasures before. Gutinian said, if we can completely study and understand these treasures, I think the cultivation worlds including the spiritual state and other continents will undergo a huge advancement. He opened the chest and saw another golden spiritual artifact in front of him. Corsair. It's the Corsair fighter jet. Ha 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 ha. Gutinian laughed heartily. I can't believe that I got a Corsair fighter jet. Awesome. Vice Academy Master Zhang Hao's eyes widened. The other major families became green with envy. It's actually a Corsair fighter jet. It's also Protoss technology. This old guy is so lucky. They had the urge to rush onto the stage and grab this aircraft for themselves. Meanwhile, cheers erupted in the audience. Among the cheers and exclamations of many people, the competition finally came to an end. In Xuanhuan City. It was the morning of another day filled with hope. Mr. Fang was in a good mood when he saw the new janitors working diligently with proper attitudes. In fact, the other 2 shops had enough employees. However, since Xuanhuan City was new, its cleaning duties had been done by Li Xina and others who weren't in charge of it in the first place. But now, the Xuanhuan City shop had a high-end janitor team, which was an advantage over the other shops. Different from the other employees in the shop, the members of the janitor team were forbidden to play games during working hours. As for their off time, the shop would be closed. Thus, they couldn't play games either. Therefore, They could do nothing but watch people play with brooms in their hands. Having just gotten online and started the game, Tang Yu sipped Coke with enjoyment. When he glanced back, he saw 3 people of the Ultimate West realm staring at his screen intently. Tang Yu didn't know what to say. He started the game while being speechless. I guessed right. These people are indeed playing in a strange world bordering between virtual reality and reality. The shop was quite clean to begin with. After the work was done, these Outlanders whispered among themselves with brooms in their hands. Kevin said, "Let's watch some more. We might get more useful information." Standing behind Tang Yu, they watched as this mechanic fought the Abyss Demons. What's this? Abyss Demon? This monster is horrifying. These people can actually fight with Abyss Demons? On the screen, the sky was dark with gloomy clouds. Under the control of the demonic power of the demons, many horrifying thunderbolts crashed down from the sky. Meanwhile, Tang Yu set up a strange-looking machine. Suddenly, lightning bolts flashed and the spatial portal opened. Then, an extremely huge mechanical fist punched out from the spatial portal, instantly turning the Abyss Demon into ashes. This is Gehebelg Punch. This young man can use this skill. Dazzling golden lights flashed on the screen, almost blinding the people who were staring at it. Ah! It flashed. It flashed and I got it. Ha ha ha. Tang Yu yelled while slapping his hands on his thighs. What treasure did you get again? Let me have a look. Many people walked up to stand around him. The Tang family master walked up as well with a bowl of instant noodles in his hands. Ah, why don't we get a flash? The 2 black-robed figures also looked toward Tang Yu's epic item enviously. With a token that could trade for any item that they wanted, they intended to trade it for a good epic spiritual artifact. We've killed Abyss Demons for a whole day, and nothing came out. What is going on? They were eager to trade the token for an item since the token would expire in 30 days. At this moment, a golden flash appeared on the screen. It flashed. I have a flash too. The woman in the black robe screamed, I got a flash as well. Let's see what treasure came out this time. The idling people standing behind Tang Yu quickly swarmed behind her. Suddenly, a message appeared on the game interface on the screen. The internet connection is cut off. Your game time is up. Everyone fell silent. Ah! A series of tragic screams sounded from the shop. I haven't picked it up yet. The people in this shop all act in this way? The 3 Outlanders' faces twitched. We were defeated by such people. Meanwhile, Mr. Fang started counting his gains. He had seen Evil Sword Apophis and the rights to summon all kinds of demons. However, he hadn't had the time to see many other things in the chest. He pulled the list out again. Right to sell potato chips. TV series, Legend of the White Snake. Mr. Fang suddenly froze. Info note. The Legend of the White Snake, also known as Madame White Snake, is a Chinese legend. It has since been presented in a number of major Chinese operas, films, and television series. You can look up the plot by searching Legend of the White Snake in Wikipedia. Chapter 567, Do I look like someone who would bully Xiaoyu? Mr. Fang continued looking down the list. You got the weapon, cannon gun, plus 1% synchronization with game character Wrecking Ball. First awakening of launchers. You got a weapon, anti-tank cannon, plus 2% synchronization with game character Wrecking Ball. You got a weapon, charge laser rifle, plus 3% synchronization with game character Wrecking Ball. You got a weapon, ultimate armor penetration hand cannon. You got the weapon, Skywalker. Skywalker was a blue lightsaber with a shape similar to the lightsaber shown in Star Wars. It looked like a light beam instead of the sword blade of a traditional lightsaber in Dungeon Fighter Online. It must be noted that Fang Chi couldn't use Evil Sword Apophis while he wasn't in complete synchronization with the game character. Even though it didn't dare to mess around in the shop, it possessed so much demonic power and awareness that it wouldn't submit to any user weaker than itself. Synchronization time was very precious, and it needed a long time to recover after each usage. To consume less energy and extend the synchronization time, Fang Chi didn't summon Ghost 7, furious black. However, not much synchronization time was left to use at this moment. Therefore, Fang Chi wouldn't waste this precious resource. But now, with Skywalker and the hand cannon, Fang Chi had new weapon options when he wasn't under complete synchronization. Meanwhile, outside Xuanhuan City. Usually, it was impossible for so many people to gather outside the city. However, it was different today. At this moment, two pale golden flying spiritual artifacts with faint blinking spiritual energy shields were hovering in the sky outside Xuanhuan City. Wow, it's so fast. This looks like a spiritual flying ship. But how come it's so fast? Awesome! Exclamations sounded from the cockpit. The girls of the Nanhua faction were curiously looking around in the shuttle. The shuttle wasn't hard to operate. In terms of flying, it wasn't too different from an ordinary flying spiritual artifact. Since these people could fly fighter jets in Grand Theft Auto 5, this aircraft wasn't too difficult for them to control. Of course, it wasn't so easy to make the fancy moves with the shuttle. It was on another level. Trash junior sister, you've driven it for a long time now. It's my turn. No, I'm not done yet. It's my turn. My turn. The golden flight spiritual artifact began to spin in the air. Ah, we're going to crash. Screams sounded from the cockpit. On the other side, the family masters and elders of the ancient families were visiting the Corsair fighter jet under the lead of Xuanhuan. Guys, look at the interior of this spiritual artifact. Xuanhuan said proudly, still amazed that he had the opportunity to drive such a spiritual ship. Wow! The interior of this flight ship looks like this. The Kinkyu family master looked around and touched this and that curiously. How was this thing made? I wonder why such an exquisite spiritual artifact is called Corsair. The Xuanhuan family master stroked his beard and said, it should be called the Golden Light Godly Ship. TL note. Corsair's nickname is Chinese's pirate ship. I didn't know that there were such exquisite spiritual artifacts in the world. The Tang family master patted his thigh in regret. I should have put more time in playing StarCraft. It would be great to get a shuttle for transportation even if he couldn't get a Corsair fighter jet. It probably would take them a long time to only study the thrust mechanism in the Protoss's shuttle. Of course, they would obtain unimaginable benefits from the study. Miss you. Come and look. The younger people of the Kinkyu family were also checking out the pirate ship. Different from spiritual artifacts, the cockpit of the Corsair was filled with rows of instruments. Xuanhuan was fiddling with these things. Above the cliff outside Xuanhuan City, a pale blue light appeared in the middle of the golden aircraft. With a flash, a super powerful force pierced the mountainside. So powerful. I can't believe that such a small spiritual ship can be so powerful. Hey, it's time for the families on board to get off. The Wang family master and the people of other families looked impatient. It's our turn to check out the spiritual boat. Master, do you think the imminent catastrophe of the spiritual state will really come? In the Xuanhuan City shop, Fairy King Yan and her disciple Xuxia sat on the sofa. The former had a bowl of instant noodles in her hands while the latter was eating spicy sticks. Woo, slurp, it should be soon. Fairy King Yu was bewildered. She had been worried when she came down from 7 Cent Mountain, but now she was carefree enough to eat instant noodles in the shop. She said in confusion, it's strange. According to these cultivators, those existences claimed that they will give us only 3 months. The time is almost up. How come nothing is happening yet? She had lowered her guard because of this. It was so calm. Jessica passed them in silence with a garbage bag in her hand. There were a few empty Coke bottles in the bag. Green veins bulged on her forehead when she heard the conversation. Damn it. How can anything happen while we are here dumping garbage? You bunch of natives are so carefree that you have the leisure to eat instant noodles. If not for our difficult situation, you would have been destroyed long ago. At this thought, Jessica stomped her feet in fury. Forget it. At this moment, a special fragrance floated to her nose. Kevin brought 2 bowls of instant noodles and handed one to her. Would you like one? Feeling like crying, Jessica took the bowl, regretting that she had come to this damn place. Slurp, slurp. The sounds of eating instant noodles appeared. Oblivious of the identity of the janitors in the shop, Fairy King Yun continued to worry about the future of the cultivation world at spiritual state. Meanwhile, Carl thought with ill intentions, sooner or later, we'll leave this damn place. Unfortunately, our spiritual patterns were erased by this damn shop owner. With greatly reduced strength, we can't even send a message to the godly palace of light. Then, he also heard the slurping noises. How come this iced red tea is so delicious? And the instant noodles, what was I thinking earlier? Right, we can't get in contact with the godly palace. Boss. At this moment, Jiangxi Oyu was about to go crazy. She had just dug out a bag of potato chips to eat with great smugness when she saw the words on the small blackboard. New item, potato chips, 8 crystals/bag. Boss. What is this? Jiangxi Oyu gritted her teeth. She got a bag of potato chips as the prize for her hard-earned third place and had to give half to Nalan Mingsu, who taught her how to defeat her opponent. But now, the shop began selling potato chips. She had the urge to bite the damn shop owner to death. This. As his face twitched a little, Mr. Fang patted Jiangxi Oyu's small head and looked at her before saying sincerely, "It's just a coincidence. Do you think I'm someone who would bully you?" Then, Mr. Fang wrote something on the small blackboard with chalk. New TV series, Legend of the White Snake. We have a new TV series today. Mr. Fang changed the subject. I won't forgive you unless you let me watch for free. Jiangxi Oyu snorted. Chapter 568, West Lake is so beautiful in March. Master. Why do you think people like Uncle Master Xuanhuan and Uncle Master Awakens refuse to come here? Xuanhuan ate a spicy stick and then sipped some iced red tea with enjoyment before asking the question. They are not interested in the games and TV series featuring battles. After all, the games and TV series here are all about this, Fairy King Yun said. If one day, the cultivation world is in danger, they will come out and help. But in my opinion, the cultivators from either the spiritual state or other places are working diligently. There's no need for your Uncle Masters to come out. HMPH. They keep asking us to mail them iced red tea. Xuanhuan mumbled, we should ask them to come here and grow vegetables. You must be respectful to your seniors. Fairy King Yun said solemnly. Okay, don't talk about them. Let's eat instant noodles first. Meanwhile, a group of players were standing around a strange machine, the disassembler. It had been solely used by Mr. Fang, but now he finally moved it out. While a group of cultivators and warriors studied the machine, they suddenly heard someone by the counter talk about the new TV series, and they all looked over with interest. At this moment, Gachinian and the others walked into the shop. Having walked around and examined the Corsair fighter jet for a while, they discovered that they couldn't get anything out of it by studying only for a moment. Feeling helpless, they returned to the shop, wanting to first take full use of the 8 hours of online time today. Master, the shop has released a new TV series, Legend of the White Snake. Fairy King Yun frowned and thought, how come it has this name? Is it a story about a snake? She walked over curiously. The janitors also came up with bowls of instant noodles in their hands. Just like other TV series, the customers could pay to watch the first 4 episodes on the first day. After 8 p.m., 2 episodes would be live streamed on the big screens. Since TV series such as Jade Dynasty and Wind and Cloud had ended, many cultivators were out of things to watch, especially the lazy and idle ones. Su Tanji was one of these cultivators. Fight abyss demons? Why would a lazy cultivator like her fight abyss demons? For the last while, the first thing that she did after entering the shop on the daily was glancing at the small blackboard to see if there was anything new on it. Today, there was indeed something new on it. Potato chips. Legend of the White Snake. Master, a new TV series. Her 2 disciples said cheerfully behind her. Let's go. I'll take you girls to watch the TV series. Su Tanji, who had looked spiritless, instantly perked up. intending to watch it regardless of what it was. At this moment, Saya and other people of the Ultimate West Realm walked in. Saya was in a fiery red dress, and she was still angry that she hadn't won a prize in the F1 World Championship. She spoke using the spiritual state language in her awkward accent. What are they talking about? Why is it so lively? They didn't watch Jade Dynasty and wasn't willing to watch Wind and Cloud. After all, if they started studying these things now, they would always lag behind others. Having just lost to cultivators of the spiritual state and deserted Sea Realm, these proud warriors wanted to find an area in which they could surpass others. After using up the fatigue points in Dungeon Fighter Online, they focused their energy on Final Fantasy and watched it time and time again to study the sword techniques in it. What's this strange thing? A few people of THE Ultimate West Realm immediately looked over. Soon, they saw Jessica and other janitors who were standing by. Are you guys from the Ultimate West Realm too? Carl and others' faces twitched. Yeah, you speak the spiritual state language so well. We grew up in the spiritual state. Jessica's face darkened. Of course, it's not difficult for us to learn a language. Then, the real and fake people of the Ultimate West Realm began a friendly conversation. We people of Ultimate West Realm must stick together. Saya said kindly, do you want to watch The Legend of the White Snake with us? I'll pay for you. The Outlanders cried and thought, how come there is such a good person? Do you mean these guys? Mr. Fang looked over and said, they are not allowed to go online during work hours. Jessica and her companions were angry, and their faces all turned green. They stared at Mr. Fang with murderous spirit in their eyes. We can stand behind them and watch. Carl said in a low voice, we'll know what Legend of the White Snake is. Good idea. Saya now had paid for the TV series. Activate the Legend of the White Snake for me. Then, she and the other people of Ultimate West Realm went online cheerfully. After opening Super Theater, she saw the logo of the Legend of the White Snake on the interface. Since the F1 World Championship had just ended, and the character in her main account had made a huge sword with Terra Stone, she wasn't impatient, entering the game as soon as possible. Instead, she could relax for a bit, together with Liu Piling and other people of the Ultimate West Realm. They clicked open Legend of the White Snake to watch the TV series. Meanwhile, Sutanji and her disciples had also opened the new TV series eagerly. Jiangxi Oyu and Little Bell also hurried to the computers and began watching it. Jessica and other Outlanders rushed over eagerly to watch from behind, but they saw nothing but a poster on the screen. In the nation named Huixia where Fang Chi had lived before traveling through space and time, there were many beautiful legends about flying on swords and sword immortals who dashed into the netherworld. There were also mythical tales about mountain spirits turning into human forms. TL note: Huixia is another word for China. Different from other movies and TV series which began with grand scenes, this TV series started with a story in a past lifetime. Legend of the White Snake began mildly with a small story in which a young boy who took care of cows saved a white snake from an old snake hunter. Bai Susan, the white snake, made an oath that she would forever remember this favor and her savior. Is this TV series a story about this small snake? Curious, Sutanji stared at the small white snake and wondered, will it cultivate for hundreds or thousands of years and become a big snake? Soon, it was 1,700 years later. How come this snake has grown so big? In the Yuanyang city shop, Little Bell was so startled that it almost fell from its chair. In the misty valley where thunderbolts flashed, a white demon snake bigger than a dragon winded through the mountains. She turned from a small demon to the human form, and she went down the mountain and entered the mortal world. Seeing the world from the perspective of a demon, the people in this world felt very curious. Yeah, guys, look, she tamed a green snake. Jiangxi Oyu exclaimed. Many viewers saw the battle between the white snake and the green snake, and they watched intently. From this point on, the TV series went on the main track and got a lot more interesting. In the misty drizzle on the day of Qingming Festival, The white snake finally found the reincarnation of her savior from 1,700 years ago at the broken bridge on Westlake. Standing with an oil paper umbrella in her hand, Bai Susan's white-clad figure stood in the misty drizzle on the bank of Westlake. With the beautiful scenery of Westlake as the background, this scene was permanently branded into the viewers' minds. At this moment, many cultivators and warriors wished that they could replace Xuanhuan, the reincarnation of the young boy. When the players played games such as The Legend of the Sword and Fairy and Dungeon Fighter Online, they would hear lovely music. Besides being melodious, the music in The Legend of the Sword and Fairy could even refresh their minds and calm their souls. At this moment, they looked puzzled. The TV series also has music. Then, they heard the lyrics of the song. Westlake is so beautiful in March, spring drizzle is as sweet as wine, and the willow trees with new spouts look like mist. What's this song? This episode ends here? Xuanhuan exclaimed. Chapter 569. More than just the theme song in this TV series. At this moment, other cultivators and warriors who were watching The Legend of the White Snake had also finished the first episode. After watching it, the people of the Ultimate West realm who had only intended to see what this new TV series was about found themselves drawn into a world full of unique wonders. How come this episode ended so soon? Then, they heard a series of tunes. While Xuanhuan was worried that there were no more episodes, she suddenly saw short clips playing after the post-credits. They looked like the video clips shown at the opening cinematics of the esports competition. What are these? She quickly watched them intently. Xuanhuan was also watching The Legend of the White Snake with Fairy King Yun. I asked the shop owner about it. Fairy King Yun said, he said that the exciting video clips at the beginning of the e-sport competition were the highlight montages. I'm surprised that the TV series Legend of the White Snake has them too. The cultivators were already interested in this story that was told in the perspective of a big demon who had cultivated more than 1,700 years and would soon become an immortal. After watching the clips showing the resurrection, the chilly black and white impermanence, heavenly generals and soldiers, and immortals and monsters, they were even more enthralled. Xuanhuan widened her eyes and said, so powerful. Info note, black and white impermanence are two deities in Chinese folk religion in charge of escorting the spirits of the dead to the underworld. I wonder who wrote the lyrics. Fairy King Yun said in surprise, spring drizzle is as sweet as wine, and the willow trees with new spouts look like mist. The words perfectly reflect the beautiful scenery at Westlake in March. The system had recreated all the scenes and spiritual spells in Legend of the White Snake while following the original and classical plot of the story. Fang Chi was surprised that the system even included the ending theme song, and he found that it was quite good after hearing it. It wasn't awkward or cringy. After all, the lyrics and music were classics, and the system made them even more beautiful than the original version since everything that the system made was top tier. Listening to the song and watching the clips, the viewers felt as if they were sitting in the boat that was floating on Westlake. In the boat, the brisk male singing voice and the soft female singing voice drifted above the lake in a light drizzle. They seemed to be standing on the bank of Westlake and were watching the honest and dull scholar and the white-clothed woman who was holding an oil paper umbrella and had a charming smile on her face. There's a song at the end. Xuanhuan picked up a potato chip with her white and slender fingers, and she nibbled it very elegantly. She just bought one big bag. She continued watching the highlight montages. In fact, the old players were no strangers to these weird legends since they had encountered some in The Legend of the Sword and Fairy. For example, in The Legend of the Sword and Fairy 1, a mountain god told Xiaolinga the story about Nuwa patching up the sky. In this world, the memories and historical records about immortals and gods had been mostly lost in the long river of time. Only a few of them remained in the relics from the ancient times. It was why these warriors and cultivators were drawn toward things that existed in the legends. In these short video clips, they again encountered the fragments of legends that they had seen and heard in The Legend of the Sword and Fairy. For some reason, they felt moved inside. Eagerly, Xuanhuan, Nal and Hongwu, and the others began watching the second episode. Bai Susan's spiritual spells are so powerful, she can even see people's previous lives. The masters of the big families had just come down from the Corsair. Now, they all gathered together to watch the legend of the white snake. She can view what happened in a person's previous lifetimes. Her skills in spiritual spells are indeed great. This girl Little King likes to tease her big sister. She is even playing tricks on Xuanhuan as well. So naughty. Jiang Xiaoyu was enjoying the TV series a lot as well. Little King, what do you think? Mew King was a little confused. Watching the story of a big demon who would soon become an immortal after cultivating for almost 2,000 years. The cultivators were curious about her life in the mortal world. How can she live among the mortals? The Tang family master, Gatinian, and the others looked astonished. A mortal married a big demon who had lived for almost 2,000 years. Such things can happen? At this moment, they wished that they could become a mortal who took care of cattle in the mountains. It wasn't unusual for the cultivators to have over 2,000 years of cultivation strength. After all, Han, the low-profiled independent cultivator, had cultivated more than 2,000 years. However, comparisons between people induces anger and envy. The white snake in this story could soon become an immortal after cultivating for only about 2,000 years. For the cultivators and warriors in this world, there wasn't a clear definition and standard for immortals. In their mind, once a cultivator became an immortal, they could leave this world and ascend into another world. However, even though the high-level cultivators of the Shu Mountain faction in the Legend of the Sword and Fairy could travel to other realms, they were still not immortals. For example, Jing Tan in the Legend of the Sword and Fairy 3 even traveled to the immortal realm, but he wasn't an immortal. For the cultivators, immortals were just people who had reached the high realm that ordinary cultivators could never attain. Likewise, the mortals also regarded cultivators as immortals. Even though this woman in Legend of the White Snake easily used the spiritual spells that could summon wind and rain and move mountains to fill oceans, she was still outside the gate of the world of immortals. Now, the cultivators began to have a deeper understanding of immortals. The spiritual spells and cultivation methods shown in the TV series in glimpses were quite beneficial to some of them. For example, the big white deer kept looking at the screen. In this scene, the white snake changed into her human form. Why doesn't it show the whole process to us? That's infuriating. They followed the white snake down the mountain and watched the many interesting incidents between Xuanhuan, the scholar, and Bai Susan, the big snake who had lived for close to 2,000 years. The viewers were entertained. Soon, they came to the part in which Bai Susan told Little King to steal silver from Qiantang Vault so that Xuanhuan could have enough funds to open a pharmacy. It's a piece of cake for a demon snake who has hundreds of years of cultivation strength to steal money from mortals. Despite the fun they had while watching this incident, Sire and some other people of the Ultimate West realm thought that it was a task too easy for them. I suddenly feel like it isn't as interesting anymore. Nalan Hongwu also thought that the two big demons could easily get whatever they wanted in the mortal world. It looks too easy and relaxed. The Tang family master shook his head, losing interest when he saw Little King moving silver from the vault with some small ghosts. While they were hesitating if the TV series was worthy of their time, they saw Li Gong put complaint to the vault god in the picture that was hung on the window. "My lord, you must do something." Suddenly, the picture flew out and transformed into the vault god. With a golden whip in his hand, he blocked Little King with heavenly soldiers. Oh! The people of the Ultimate West realm who had felt a bit bored almost jumped up. The Tang family master who had been hesitating if he should continue watching opened his mouth wide and gasped, "What's this?" These people in this world were shocked and all froze. At this moment, a brand new world unraveled before them like a grand picture, revealing the tip of an iceberg. In this world, there were immortals and demons, and the human world was governed by gods. Chapter 570. A young man who had lost his dreams. Seeing the strange and ingenious spiritual spells, gods, demons, and the fun incidents between humans and demons, many customers were drawn into this interesting TV series, waiting for this for 1,000 years. Fairy King Yun hummed subconsciously and wondered, most of the games and TV series in the shop focus on battles of spiritual spells or wars. There is Arad, which is fraught with dangers, and StarCraft, full of wars and schemes. However, this TV series is very different from them. She watched 4 episodes in one sitting. Awesome. If the thrilling battles in the esports competition are like the spicy and sour instant noodles in the shop, then the legend of the White Snake is as sweet, refreshing, and lingering as the red iced tea. Working as janitors in the shop, Jessica and her companions were eager to watch this TV series. What is this legend of the White Snake? It seems like they are all enthralled by it. Having just finished the first 4 episodes, Saya put down the virtual reality headset and then sang poorly in a heavy accent. Westlake is so beautiful in March. Spring drizzle is as sweet as wine, and the willow trees with new spouts look like mist. The Tang family master sitting near her continued where she left off. If we are destined, we will meet even if we are 1,000 kilometers apart. Fairy King Yun sang with high spirits, thinking it was also fate that brought together the cultivators and warriors from different places. After all, they wouldn't have met each other all their lives if not for the shop, since they lived extremely far from each other. What's wrong with the people in this internet cafe? Hearing the singing in the shop, Jessica, Kevin, and Carl were bewildered with brooms in hand. What's wrong with these people? They were all watching the TV series, but now they are having a singing competition? Hearing their cheerful voices, the three's faces twitched as they thought, how come you are all so happy? Are you even worried about us, the invaders? The 3 realized that they were now janitors. Furious at their situation, Jessica grabbed a handful of potato chips and stuffed them into her mouth while cussing silently in resentment. I can handle 100 natives at the level of these people. Without spiritual patterns, I can only handle about 10. At this moment, someone yelled, the garbage bins are almost full. Where are the janitors? I'm here. Jessica answered without thinking, go, 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 hurry up. She was furious, wishing that she could kill the shop owner. At 8 p.m., the first 2 episodes of Legend of the White Snake were played on the big screens. In the Geocity shop, the nearby civilians, rich and poor, had the habit of gathering in the shop to watch 2 free episodes of TV series each day on the live stream. The moon had just come up. Gong Tsai Xiao sat down on the couch and poured himself a cup of wine that he bought from Wind and Moon Pavilion, enjoying the new TV series. Meanwhile, the janitors in Yuan Yang City shop each poured themselves a cup of iced red tea with tears on their faces. Finally, we can watch it. Finally, we can watch it. Oh, there are actually gods in this world? This Xuanhuan looks very powerful. A mortal can summon the vault god with a casual yell. How come there are so many gods and immortals in this world? 2 hours later, from the couch, Jessica sang, Westlake is so beautiful. The customers walking by looked at them with weird expressions. Master, will catastrophe strike our spiritual state or not? Zhu asked as she sat on the couch and watched The Legend of the White Snake one more time. Of course, it will. Sitting nearby, Carl said with a snort. How do you know? The young girl looked at him in doubt. With his face twitching, Carl finally explained after a long pause, in the vast void, weak existences are always easy targets for predators, which is the cause of almost all wars. Before Fang Chi traveled through space and time, he had heard someone say, the universe is a dark forest, and each civilization is a hunter with guns. They walked in the forest stealthily like ghosts and lightly moved away the tree branches that blocked their way, trying their best not to make any sounds. The forest is full of hunters just like them. If they find another civilization, they will do only one thing: burn and destroy it. Mr. Fang came over and sat down. While scratching his head, he said, why have wars? Isn't it better to have an esports competition? The Outlanders' faces twitched, and they didn't feel like talking to Mr. Fang. If they could defeat this guy, they would bring him back and whip him 100 times with force. Having finally finished the task of esports competition and other chores in the shop, Mr. Fang had just come out of the game cultivation room. At this moment, Fang Chi dug out a pretty golden rock from his pocket. He finally remembered that this was one of the 3 things that he won from Jessica when they betted against each other. The other 2 objects that he had won were the shadow cloak and the blade of curse. Fang Chi remembered the system telling him that this rock contained tremendous energy when Jessica took it out. In fact, the system took most of the income of the shop so that it could have enough energy to produce and maintain the big worlds shown in the games and movies. It also needed energy to maintain the foundation of the lightning punishment system in the shop. In fact, to finish the tasks, Mr. Fang had spent lots of his money. Also, he used a lot of money when playing Dungeon Fighter Online. Right now, he found that he was a little poor. Should I sell this rock? The system is taking it in. Analyzing the energy. Hey! Dumbfounded, Mr. Fang watched as the rock vanished just like the crystals that the shop had earned. How come it's gone? System. FCK. Spit it out for me. You stole my treasure. Are you a dog? FCK. If you don't spit it out right now, I'll stop working. The system replied. Burp. Mr. Fang's face darkened. Damn you. I've never seen a system as shameless as you. At this moment, Fang Chi heard the system's voice again. The system energy is prepared. New privileges are being activated. Cross-plane teleportation is getting ready. The new task is activated. New task. Cross-plane internet. Task description. Do you want to build a unique internet system? Young man, get up and move. Mr. Fang replied. No, I don't want to go anywhere. The young man had lost his dreams. The system was at a loss for words.